Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. On sports, Brian Reynolds shows charisma in commercial, Mike Tomlin makes another pro day. In Fridays on Sports, one of the Pittsburgh Pirates' best players gets his Hollywood moment. A former Pitt superstar known for his arm makes the guest list at the Pirates season opener in Miami. Among the Steelers, Cam Hayward clarifies his tune on Aaron Rodgers, while Mike Tomlin continues to make high-profile stops checking out players. And Pitt's basketball brothers say their goodbyes on social media. Ryan Reynolds arguably going on a half-decade now as the Pittsburgh Pirates' best player. Brian Reynolds is well-liked among teammates in the clubhouse. But Reynolds' quiet, laid-back nature doesn't necessarily lend itself to extroverted expressions of personality. That's what made Reynolds' performance in an ad for a spirit owned by actor Ryan Reynolds so surprising. Selected surely because of the obvious similarity in their names, in the ad the Pirates Reynolds is said to be reaching from a script written personally by the Van Wilder Reynolds. The latter Reynolds, a Canadian, is always open about his passion for hockey and soccer. He plays off that in releasing this ad on social media on MLB's opening day, presumably, feigning a complete lack of knowledge of baseball. Brian Reynolds perfectly deadpans his lines. During the Pirates opener, incidentally, the baseball-playing Reynolds went 1 for 4 with a 2-run single that made him the first Pirates player to have at least 1 RBI in 3 consecutive season openers since Willie Stargell in the 1970s. Of course, the Pirates blew a 3-run lead and lost, 5-4, to the Miami Marlins. Dan's right arm, the bullpen, and defense once again foiled a potential victory for Paul Skeens, a familiar and ongoing theme. Skeens allowed only 5 base runners with 7 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. He averaged 98.1 miles per hour with his four-seam fastball and induced 17 swings and misses. In short, Skeens put on another display as to why he has arguably the Pittsburgh sports scene's most talented right arm in a generation, perhaps, since a kid from Oakland was slinging a different kind of ball around Pitt Stadium more than 4 decades ago. That man threw a pitch from the Lone Depot Park mound Thursday before Skeens did. Dan Marino was the special guest, the announcement of the honor noting that Marino's first pro home stadium as a Miami Dolphins young quarterback was the Orange Bowl, on the site where Lone Depot Park stands now. Marino was good enough as a pitcher for Central Catholic High School that was a 4th-round draft choice by the Kansas City Royals. Marino announced his retirement as the NFL's career passing leader in March 2000. Incidentally, he's only than 22 years older than the presumed Steelers starting quarterback this season. Cam versus Skip, it was the topic of that man, Aaron Rodgers, that ultimately led to a social media sparring between longtime Steelers defensive captain Cameron Hayward and longer-time TV sports talking head Skip Bayless on Thursday. Hayward last week on his podcast seemed perturbed by Rodgers dragging out his decision to sign with the Steelers, saying, "If you, Rodgers, want to be part of the Steelers, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back." Wednesday, though, Hayward during an appearance on Good Morning Football sung a different tune. It would be really cool to have a guy like Aaron Rodgers. That drew a post on X from Bayless, one of television's goats for yelling and screaming nonsensically about sports. Amused by Cam, Hayward's backtrack on Aaron Rodgers, Bayless wrote. He realized exactly what I said on my show, that it has come to this for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They now desperately need what's left of Aaron Rodgers. It's looking like that or Mason Rudolph. Though the collateral damage landed at the feet of Rudolph, no one alive seems to catch more strays than him. It was the misspelling of Hayward's last name by Bayless that gave him the opening to needle him back. Steelers Stock Watch, DL Keanu Benton. Since free agency began, events have only strengthened Keanu Benton's position with the Steelers. Whether that's how they envisioned it or otherwise, it's difficult to say. Perhaps they had every intention of signing a full-time starter, but the defensive line market is peaking right now. Now clearer illustration of that is the Steelers releasing Larry Ogunjobi, only to watch him sign with a contending team like the Buffalo Bills for more money than the Steelers were slated to pay him. They did add to the room, but Benton will be responsible for absorbing most of the lost snaps. Since free agency began, Pittsburgh has added 2 defensive linemen. They have signed Daniel Equali and Esezi Odomwo, both cheap additions. Under better circumstances, perhaps neither would be locks to make the 53-man roster. As it is, the Steelers will need at least one, but Keanu Benton is the biggest beneficiary thus far. A second-round pick in 2023, Benton has yet to break out for the Steelers. While he has flashed plenty of talent, he hasn't fully translated talent to production. That's not incredibly dissimilar to both Stephon Tuitt and Javon Hargrave, who found more production in later seasons. The Steelers are counting on Keanu Benton being more of a late bloomer in that respect, even if his 3rd season is far from late. Over 2 years, he does have 1,125 snaps played with 72 tackles. He has 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, with 2 forced fumbles and an interception and 8 passes defensed. The pass rush is a particular area of production growth the Steelers are likely targeting, and perhaps they can put Benton in better positions beginning this season. AFC North report, Aaron Rodgers, Steelers update could be huge for division. There are 3 teams left in the NFL that do not clearly have a starting quarterback in place for the 2025 NFL season: the Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Tennessee Titans. The Browns have had rumors all over the place, especially around QB Kirk Cousins, and had QB Russell Wilson in for a visit. We even had a wild rumor pop up that made no sense financially and was quickly disputed by just about everyone. There are not many options left in NFL free agency, but QB Cam Ward could be the answer for Tennessee or Cleveland, while QB Shedeur Sanders' stock is uncertain, at best. The Steelers have not been connected to any other options besides veteran QB Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers visited the team for 6 hours but didn't sign and is still on the free agent market. The Minnesota Vikings have either said no to Rodgers or at least not now, which could be gumming up the works for Pittsburgh, but the AFC North squad might have another competitor for Rodgers, retirement. As Adam Schefter noted, he is speculating based on information those around the league have gathered. If Rodgers was excited about playing for the Steelers, the contract would be signed or at least agreed upon. Instead, it seems like Pittsburgh is a backup option competing with retirement for Rodgers' decision. As DT Cam Hayward said on his Vox Media podcast, either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. Unlike the Browns and Titans, the Steelers do not have a high enough draft pick or a second-round pick to move up to select one of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Pittsburgh could attempt to trade for Cousins, sign Carson Wentz or Joe Flacco, or hope that Jackson Dart, Tyler Shaw, or Jalen Milroe are able to step in as a starter in year 1. And you, fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.